Season 2 of the Gigasnail Fortnite podcast, where we discuss Fortnite from various player perspectives. My name is Gigasnail, and with me today is Desi, Aaron, Jam, Jesus, and joining us just a little bit later will be the competitive side of the scene from Vio. Anybody want to say hi? You guys here? Hello, mic check 1 2.
What's up?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, we're here.
Oh, we got some people. That's what's up. Hail and well met, guys. So if you guys don't know how this usually starts, what we do is introductions to get started. So if you guys just want to say what your name is, maybe like, I don't know, like a KD, or what your favorite part of the season is, what brings you to Fortnite, your experience in gaming, whatever you want to do, just let us know. I'll get us started off right. My name is Gigasnail, like I said earlier. My KD right now, you guys, I don't want to flex, but it's 1.26, okay? Lifetime KD, just over 1. I'm basically the greatest player you never thought you needed to know. But I'm here. I'm excited for the mechs. I think brutes are completely balanced, and I'm going to be defending that position all night long. Toss it on over to the next one. Aaron, you want to say what's up?
Hi, I'm Aaron. Yeah,
What's your in-game name, man?
I'm fantastic, actually.
There you go.
Yeah, so trying to get better. I'm trying to get to the competitive ranks. I just started about a month or two ago, so my KD is only about 2. But I study a lot of Fortnite. I study more Fortnite than probably anybody else in here.
Awesome. So you got that grind perspective covered. Great to have you, man. Jam, what's up? Who you at?
Hey, I'm Jam. My in-game name changes every other week, and I strongly disagree with the majority of Gigasnail's opinions.
All right. Always good to have a contrarian in the mix. Who's
Oh,
up
my
next?
tea's
I agree with
frozen.
him.
I'll be right back.
All right, man. Jesus, what you got?
I'm Jesus Got Game 34. There's an addictive property that keeps me coming back to Fortnite. I'm not sure if they're feeding me drugs through the keyboard. I don't know what it is. I keep coming back to Fortnite. No matter how much that I think that they genuinely screw this game up every season, I'm still playing it. So that's where we're at.
All right, the long-term player. I like it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, who is this beautiful young lass we got over here?
Just me, your Desi.
Who's Desi? Is it my Desi?
Yeah, just the casual, Team Rumble player, challenge
Aw.
grinder.
All right, Challenge Grinder Team Rumble, a.k.a. the man, the myth, the woman, the myth, the legend
emote
herself.
collector.
The emote collector. I like it. Well, welcome everybody. Let's get started off by talking about the correct season, as Fantastic most accurately pointed out. That is that we are in Season 10 now, guys. We're not in Season 2. This is Season 2 of the podcast. We're in Season 10 of Fortnite. Season 10 brings a lot of crazy things. So get us started with our first URL. We're going to be announcing Season 10. This came out actually in July 31st. We're about 10 days behind now. But gives you guys a good overview if maybe you've been hiding under a rock, been away for summer vacay, whatever you got going on in your lives. This will be the website that we're looking at for the next little bit. So if you guys haven't seen the trailer, go ahead and load that up. We'll be watching the Trizzly. It's only a minute long, so get ready. Get the popcorns, get your drinks. Here we go.
Season X is here, and the world is destabilizing fast. But don't worry, that means there are a ton of new ways to play Fortnite.
Oh, I already
From
like the
Groot,
mechs.
A new 2-player vehicle that packs some serious firepower, to mysterious rift zones that alter your
Rift
favorite
zones?
POIs in unexpected ways.
POIs are changed?
That's weird. Season X delivers new experiences
That is
for
weird.
all players to enjoy. There are new places to explore, new secrets to uncover, and the world you play today may not be the world you play tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
In
So it's
addition to all
changing.
new gameplay found in Season X, there's also a brand new battle pass that'll introduce
Vi,
new
what's up? One sec, man. We'll
dimensions
introduce
to
you in a
some of
second.
your
We're watching
favorite
video right now.
Fortnite characters in ways you've never seen before. And at Tier 100, you'll unlock Ultima Night.
Ultima Night.
Plus, don't forget, there are new emotes, gliders, wraps, and more to earn as you advance through the pass.
Emotes,
The battle
gliders, and
pass
more.
is
That's
available
Desi.
right now for just 950 V-Bucks. We'll see you in-game.
950 V-Bucks. Use code Gigasnail. I don't know. What did you guys think about the drop video? Was it hype? No hype? Are you guys excited for the season? Before we get into that, before we get the reactions, I'm sorry, we got a new person here. What's up, Vio? How you doing, man?
Yeah, nothing.
Not doing too much, chilling out. We're here for
Yeah.
the podcast tonight.
There we go. That's what's up, dude. So what we did to introduce ourselves was just say our in-game name, maybe a quick stat or something that interests you. I said I love the brutes, and I think they're completely balanced. I also flexed on my 1.22 KD. So why don't you just tell us who you are, where you're from, and what's going on in your life?
My name is Vio, and I don't do much but play comp Fortnite.
Comp. Oh, we got the comp player in the house. This is how it's gonna go down, guys. You're gonna give us some good insights tonight.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. That being said, let's go back to our reactions now for the season drop. Who was hyped for season 10? Just like show of hands in the chat. Like who is? I was hyped. I was hyped. And you was hyped. JM, you were hyped. You're giggling.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then I realized, oh, mechs exist.
Oh no, Mex
That changed
exists.
it all. Yeah.
I'm
I
not
am
gonna
really
lie, I was a
killed
little
it.
hyped myself.
Yeah, you
And,
were hyped, Vaya?
Yeah, and the same thing. The mechs came in, and the game's
Destroyed
fantastic.
it.
Destroyed.
I
No.
was
The game is
excited.
not fantastic. I am fantastic. The game is garbage.
I was
That's
excited to
lovely.
see the return of old POIs and all that good stuff. Seeing Dusty Depot back, knowing that we
Mm.
were going to get more and more as well throughout the season. Yeah, then I saw the mechs and I wept rather loudly, not really quietly, honestly, just very loudly because I knew. I knew.
You knew? What did you know? You knew
I
that it
knew.
was going to be great and amazing because they're a completely balanced weapon and bring excellent mobility to the game.
No, more like that they're more broken than anything I've ever seen in any video game ever.
Hashtag remove the mech.
Competitive.
All right, before we move off of the announcement page, guys, in Season 10, I just wanted to let you guys have the link. This is the correct link to download the Season X asset pack. So if you guys are any content creators or just starting up a stream or you just want to, something nice for a YouTube video, there's the download link for that, guys. I'm glad that you all completely agree with me that brutes are amazingly balanced. That being said, let's move on to the actual patch notes and see what happened this season, because I think you guys will realize the error of your ways once we sort of dive in to the darkness of this season. So for those of you who don't know, what is a brute? Does anyone know what brute stands for, by the way? I tried looking that up. I couldn't find it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, let me look it up.
Yeah,
Let's
somebody.
see.
I straight up Googled it, couldn't find it. But anyways, brutes are just a few suits to make you feel as powerful as a mech suit does. In this two-person vehicle, players can control its movement while their partner controls its firepower. Those feeling extra adventurous can operate it solo by switching between moving and shooting, which, by the way, is a little OP. There should be a cooldown in the seat switch, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. So, like I said, it's a two-person vehicle. It really does have a lot of movement and acceleration. They are, spoiler alert, they are nerfing a lot of the mechanics that allow you to exploit it for faster movement across. But until they do, there's some really cool exploits if you're into the. We don't break terms of service here because we're an awesome stream. But if you did and were into that, that would be something that you guys could check out. The driver is able to dash in combat, super jump to victory, stomp enemies and structures to the ground. That's really the meta you want to be doing, in my opinion, if you are going to play the brute meta. The driver, you just want to get as much resources as possible because the first thing that the gunner should be doing is automatically shielding whenever you engage into a fight. That's the cue by default, I believe. And then you want to be charging up your rockets and then following up with the final shoddy, which is all just the passenger weapons at their disposal. Shotgun and missile launcher. Clip size is 10, damage is 50, headshot multiplier 1.5. Missile launcher fires up to 10 missiles at once. It's overall, pretty extremely balanced. The overshield consumes 200 of any material type and creates a personal overshield for 5 seconds to protect you within the mech. And if you guys watch my sweet clips that are coming out on my YouTube channel, check it out. You can see exactly what it's like to overcome one of those personal shields and how you should be disabling the mech and how easily they are to overcome in a fight. If anybody would watch my YouTube videos, they would know it's not overpowered. That being said, let's go to some of our guests. What do you guys think? Overpowered, not overpowered? Where do you start in your rotation on the mech? Where do you start in your rotation against the mech? How do you guys play against mechs?
So I land as far away from a mech as possible.
Okay.
And find a mech,
Exactly.
I immediately jump in and self-destruct it because I don't want to degrade my actual gameplay by playing in something that's so stupidly lack of skill based. And I'm 100% serious on this. I don't want to become worse at the game by playing in something that doesn't take any skill.
I
So
like this
I
guy.
don't really use the mechs. Uh, if I find one, I try to destroy it. If somebody comes after me in a mech, I use whatever mobility that I have, or I hide somewhere under a tree, something that doesn't involve building, and I try to get a clear shot on the actual driver's seat.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Vio, speaking, so Fantastic is talking about how he doesn't use it to degrade his gameplay. He's the samurai of us all. He has honor and nobility. What's happening in the competitive scene? Are they allowing in scrims mechs to be used? Are they expected to be used in trios? Is it a gentleman's agreement? Are they completely removed? How is it getting played in the comp scene?
It's actually really interesting. Just today, with the announcement on the competitive blog that mechs will
Yes.
be in future tournaments, they're not allowed. Yesterday, and since mechs have been released, they were not allowed. But they actually aren't as broken in comp as you would think, because it turns into a like if you're in a mech, there's a big arrow over your head basically, and the entire lobby shoots at you. So it's basically a death trap.
Right.
Nobody likes them, and they get destroyed instantly. If you somehow keep one, I've seen a few clips of people getting them to end game, and then they start getting pretty interesting. But otherwise, it's very rare that they actually make that much of an impact outside of early game.
Yeah, so I agree with that, especially in an endgame scrim situation where you have 35 people in a small circle. All of those people are going to be shooting at that mech.
Right.
Honestly, you're just gonna, if there's a dude in the box next to me that I'm trying to hit, I'm gonna stop focusing on that guy and I'm gonna turn towards the mech.
Right. I recently played a very low tier competitive game today, solo, just like first contender round, and I took the mech all the way to the end game. I took four different mechs to the end. They kept getting destroyed, but kept finding more mechs. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Maybe lower the mech drop rate. But once I got to the end game and got high ground, I felt very comfortable. I got like the last 8 kills or something. Like there was only 8 players left, and I got like all of them. So I do see how people could argue that it's OP, but at the same time, I agree with Vio that it's kind of like having an arrow above your head, and if anybody's good, they should be like, oh, this is an easy kill, right? Theoretically, but I don't know, maybe not. Jesus, have you run any
Uh,
games?
yes. The mech is completely broken,
Okay.
and
Yes.
it's broken. There's no other way to put it. This is worse than the sword, and the
Worse than the
1000
sword.
HP. You
1,000
can
HP.
boogie bomb it.
Yeah,
Okay,
instantly.
that's one method you can use against it. You can boogie bomb it. Boogie bombs are not always going to be in everybody's inventory. They're not always going to be available. Um, the way that I play against it, I have not played one single solo match this season.
Okay.
I have played duos and I've played squads. In duos and squads, I think it's a little easier in duos to deal with because you see one and you just focus it immediately. Because it's going to take them a little while to get to you, and from a distance, the rockets they're not as effective. So you really just have to focus it from the moment you see it. And it's both of you ARs, spray it down. Usually can handle them okay. The problem is when you get uh, one sneaking up on you while you're in a fight. Somebody else, one gets up on you, everyone's dead. There's not even a question about it. You're just dead. I have seen players that are just absolutely terrible at this game mow me down, flatten me with this thing because of how broken it is. There's no skill to using the weapon, the item, whatever you want to call it, the vehicle. There's no skill to using this vehicle whatsoever. It's the most unskilled thing they've ever added, and this is a game that featured a rocket launcher that shot 4 times in rapid succession.
Okay. Counter argument. whenever
Please go
I
ahead.
whenever I come across the brutes, the first thing, like in solos at least, the first thing you want to do is take out the player. Obviously, there's two player positions. You can shoot the 1,000 on the mech. If you're like, oh, the mechs are so OP, I want to get rid of the mechs. Okay, shoot the mech, it destroys whatever. Or you can just shoot the players out. Like the player shielding is actually much less, and it requires them to consume their materials. So it actually like hurts them if you shoot the shield correctly. If there's 2 players, go for the gunner first. Obvi, hello, like let's not get shot in the face by a bunch of rockets. And second of all, take out the movement guy, and then you can in solos, and you can just take the mech and then do whatever you want. You could either destroy it if you guys are obviously not good enough to use a mech, or you could just use it for yourself and do whatever. That being said, I will admit here's a clip for anybody that wants to see. It's in the chat now. This is what I consider to be fully balanced contender play strats. I'm going to play it live on stream if you guys want to check it out. If not, the links are in chats on the replay. And yeah, you guys tell me what you think about this awesome gameplay from my competitive experience today. So as you guys can see, I strategically find the player, charge up, switch spots, nail him, and take all of his loot because, it's just a skilled maneuver in order to do. No, I didn't do any of that, guys. Didn't even know the player was there. Just shot to destroy the building. Happened there was a guy in the building, completely killed him. It's called sarcasm. So I definitely think they need to lower the range on the missiles. I also think that the spread of the missiles isn't a spread at all. It's actually predictable. So you can shoot even longer than the maximum range of the mech should be allowed, which is a little weird that they left that in the game. Usually, like with Bloom and stuff, they either have it preset or not. And in Fortnite, it's typically not preset. But I guess in the mech, they wanted to make it super easy for everybody. Let's take a step back, though, and let's look at... Ooh, my voice scared. Let's take a step back and look at the vaulted items, because one of the reasons they introduced the Brute was for the movement abilities, and I think that's commonly overlooked right now. There's only a hoverboard, impulse grenades, and the Brute, right? Is there anything else? There's the grappler. Hoverboard.
No, that is it. I
Yeah.
believe. And you have the slipstreams on Mega Mall now. That's it.
I
Yeah,
can't believe they
not
vaulted
the-
ballers.
Not the impulse grenades,
Made me
the
so
shockwave
angry.
The
grenades.
shockwaves, yeah.
Yeah, so they vaulted Baller, Quad Crasher, Flint Knock, Shadow Bomb, Semi-Auto, Tactical Assault, Mounted Turret, and Airstrike. So there was a
And
lot of
launch pads, we
movement.
have those as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, launch
I'm-
pads.
I'm actually very good, or not very. I'm very glad that they vaulted all that stuff. I wish that they hadn't added the Brute to the game. I think that fucking ruins it. But I am glad that they vaulted all that stuff. I'm especially glad that they got rid of the slipstream, because I think one of the things about Fortnite is trying to avoid getting caught in the situation where you're at the storm. Rotations that keep you from being in that situation. Yeah, sometimes you have to run across the map, but that's what launch pads and things are for.
Is this a clip you want me to look at real quick, Bio?
Yeah, it's the Brute. I don't know.
Oh, it's over. It's over.
It's a Fratcore game, so.
It's over. Okay, just keep shooting.
I mean, you see, it's very good in its current state.
They're all dead right now. These guys are all dead right now.
Oh my god!
I got one.
You only got one knock.
I'm just gonna go in there and stop.
I got another.
I'm going in there.
I killed 2 more.
Yeah, but he didn't aim at all, and he did it from long distance, which requires little to no skill.
I feel like all those players who just got knocked, like they didn't shoot.
Well, maybe they didn't see him. I think they were in a fight.
Yeah, so what happened there is the mech came in third party, your usual thing, whatever.
50 wide.
And then
Thanks for the host, Jesus.
even if they do shoot at that point, I don't think they can kill that mech fast enough.
You don't think they can kill that mech? You're crazy, son.
I don't think they can do 1,000 damage within the 5 seconds that mech took to kill them.
Dude, 2 players could do 1,000 damage in 5 seconds if they tried hard enough.
So I don't mess with the mech. I don't mess with the
Yeah.
mech, but the first day that it came out, I'm gonna try new content out. I'm gonna mess with it a little bit. So I hopped in a mech, and it was in an arena game actually, and I started stomping around, killing people who were trying to build. I walked into Tilted Towers before they changed it to whatever this new one is. There were some guys build battling on top of one of the buildings. So I got bored and I decided to destroy the buildings. And I knocked it down and I got 5 kills.
Dang.
Feels good, man.
Yeah, that was definitely only high skill gameplay right
So,
there.
and I'm not saying I knocked them off the building. I'm saying I destroyed the entire building.
Yep. And you got you were rewarded for your high
Yep.
skill gameplay,
My
according to
high
Epic.
skill gameplay. It was very competitive. I should be competing against Tfue and Booga right now.
Now, there's a counterpoint I was going to get into is that if the winner of the Fortnite World Cup and probably everyone that was there, all 100 people in the
Yes.
solos, all 100 people in the duos, I don't think a single one of them supports this item being in the game. And if they can't successfully counter the moves of this item, you know it's broken. If the best players in the world cannot deal with it, it's broken.
All right, so it's
Hashtag remove
gotten
the
to the
mech.
point where people are threatening to boycott the game, large content creators. They're threatening to leave the game, which will drastically, it will make the player count just decrease a ton if they leave the game. And they're thinking about boycotting it because this brood, it's way too overpowered. Like I saw a couple tweets like while I was on Twitter yesterday of people talking about completely boycotting
Yeah,
just because of the breed.
yeah. I saw Dr. Lupo, Ninja, like a lot of the top tier guys, right? Tim, they were all doing that. I'm not having fun in the game right now. I think was their code, their wolf whistle or whatever it's called, their dog whistle to get Fortnite's attention. And then Dr. Lupo was saying he's gonna go play PUBG and Apex or something like that.
Right.
To piggyback off that Twitter thing, hashtag vault the mech. reached
Number one trending.
Number one. I saw it at number 2. Number 1 trending in the United States.
Dang.
No
That's
way.
not just a region.
Yeah.
Yes, it
hashtag
did.
remove the mech.
Hashtag remove the mech. That's what it was.
To double piggyback off of your piggyback, the reason that they put this controversial mech in the game in the first place, and I can almost guarantee, I've actually seen a lot of this. There's no such thing as bad press. So you mentioned that that's the number 2 trending thing in the United States, right?
Right.
Number 1 now.
That makes
can
people
confirm.
see Fortnite. They see, hey,
Right.
Fortnite is still big. People are talking about this game. Yeah,
Did
they're
you just
mad
link
at it.
Fortnite to school shootings?
Hey, calm
Or
down,
just-
Coyote. No,
No,
not
no,
at
no,
all.
no, no.
You're not paying attention.
No, no.
right now. We need you
So-
to focus up.
What happens,
up.
and they do this every season almost. They've been doing this for a few seasons at least. What happens is they'll put something in the game, like the mech, and then about 4 or 5 weeks later, everybody will be complaining about the mech. They'll be like, "Oh my God, this is so horrible! Fortnite will blow up. It'll be everywhere. You'll see it on Facebook. You'll see it on the news. You'll see it on fucking Twitter. You'll see it everywhere." And then they'll nerf it a little bit, and people will be like, "All right, you nerfed it a little bit. It's still overpowered." And then eventually they'll nerf it a little bit more, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, Epic, listen to us. They're such good developers." And that's what Epic does. It's a marketing strategy.
I couldn't agree more. That was going to be my next question is how do you guys actually feel about this as a strategy? A developer supposedly in pre-development still technically. I mean 10.0 should have been season 1, but there's some updates on the console that we need to keep them there for a reason. But we're basically in season 1. This is the official launch of the game, and what are they doing? They're disrupting the game. So it's disruptive development is kind of like the kitschy title a lot of these, esports mags have been calling it. How do we feel about that? How do you feel about having your lives disrupted by a marketing strategy for a video game? Do you feel more or less into the game as a result?
I mean,
I
I don't really
feel
care.
like-
I want Fortnite to stay the biggest game in the world.
You don't
I
care?
feel like I would like another Apex Legends to come along and remind them that popularity can be snatched from them at any moment.
Yes.
Because
Right.
they left increased material farming and mat caps and siphon in pubs because Apex was a legitimate threat for about a month. And then when Apex completely stumbled over their own feet and blew it.
I can confirm.
Fortnite said, yeah, okay, well, now that threat is passed, yoink, we'll take that Siphon and Mac Cap pack you guys love so much. We're going to
Yeah.
take that back, and we're going to spit on you again. So I need another Apex to come along. Somebody to remind them that they're not so high on that high horse.
So Nub and Prime gives us this question. Thoughts on the mech having separate hitboxes on the guns? Then you could disarm the missiles at least, but you don't need to take 1,000 HP of it off to weaken its abilities. I like that idea. So like you could shoot off the guns. Maybe each gun has like 100 health or 200 health or something. Then you would half the missiles if you got one of the missiles off. That's a lot of tracking though, and I worry there's already a bunch of hitching and other problems introduced with Season X that I'm not really hip to the dope trip on telling Epic, yeah, let's add more trackable items to the game. That just kind of scares me a little bit.
Or you could just
What
remove the rocket launcher entirely and give it like an AR
Oh.
or some other
I-
sort of machine gun.
What
What
about
do
the
you-
idea?
About this the other day with somebody else. If they were smart, off the rip, this thing would have just had like miniguns on its shoulders,
Right.
and that would overheat, and you have a cooldown, and I could deal with that. I can't deal with 10 missiles at 50 damage each. Yeah, I just can't
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
I would say actually
No, it cut out there a little bit.
Yeah.
You'd say actually what? Fantastic?
Actually,
His headset battery probably died if
Uh,
he's using a
Must
wireless.
just be struggling.
no,
yeah.
no, I'm not. Hang on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember the light machine gun?
Yeah?
yes.
Yeah.
So if they had something with the spread of the light machine gun on it, with even fucking infinite ammo, because you're not going to be able to zoom in on it. It's just going to be spray and pray, and hopefully you hit something. And then the shotgun isn't super overpowered. It's just, there's nothing super overpowered about the shotgun. As long as you don't get super close to it, you can actually build out of it, as long as they don't use the missiles. I think the farming on the mech needs to be completely removed. I think if you destroy something with it, you should not get any sort of materials. It's completely ridiculous.
Yes.
The farming with it is ridiculous. That's a serious what were you thinking there?
Yeah. So
Because you have sorry to cut you off. You have great players. Like I'll sit. The problem is usually when bad players are in the mechs, okay, I can deal with that. All right, as long as I see them from a distance. When there's good players in the mechs, and then I destroy the mech, it doesn't kill them, and they hop out with 3,000 mats. GG. Like,
Yeah, it's a little weird that the end explosion doesn't do more damage. Like, there's a great clip I have today where I was in one mech fighting another mech. The other mech won, but I shot out its gunner. So then when my mech was exploding, I just put walls around the enemy mech. The guy jumped out to kill me. My mech exploded. I hopped in his mech and killed him. And I was just like, well, why didn't the explosion kill both of us? Like, if this is some nuclear reactor or whatever, like, it should go through the builds as easily as the missiles go through the builds, shouldn't it? I mean, where's the 10 nuclear explosion of 50 damage per tick on every build in the immediate vicinity? But
so it's
what's
also
wrong with the giving instant damage, like the planes. You remember planes? They destroyed. You lost 50 health.
right, exactly. Yeah, you instantly lose.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with instant damage? That should be the risk reward of using this item.
I
It shouldn't
completely
be-
agree with
there
that.
Shouldn't be a chance for you to escape it. You should have to take it if you're gonna try to tank damage all the way through this thing getting destroyed. You should have to pay for it.
Completely agree. I would also say too, rather than having the missiles, if you guys are going to take away my beloved missiles, as balanced as they are, you know what'd be sick is if you found legendary items like a legendary minigun, if you could just attach it to your mech. Like maybe your mech had two hands, and then you could just attach two weapons to those two hands. Whatever those two weapons are, like so like a minigun and a rocket launcher, for example.
So you have to build up your mech.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Does the mech default have a rocket launcher on it? Sorry, I'm a little.
Yes.
Yes.
it does.
Yeah, it
well,
does.
it's default rocket launcher and minigun, right?
And shotgun.
Shotgun.
yeah, shotgun. that's it.
So you're saying that you'd be able to add a default shotgun, a default minigun, default etc. to this mech, and build it up from the base up? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, that would be my like alternative, right? So instead of just giving it OP from the beginning, it should also have no shields in the beginning, I think. I think you should have to grind wood to put in the furnace to build the shields up to protect the players. So like the longer you go with the mech, the stronger you become. So it's like a risk reward, like Jesus was talking about. And then I love what Nubbin is saying in the chat too. He's saying there should be like this ejector seat concept. So if your mech gets exploded but you didn't eject, you didn't self-destruct, you stand and you take the damage automatically. If you self-destruct, you pull the ejector seat, you shoot out maybe like a launch pad and get a glider, but then it explodes and kills everything around you. Like, I think that's a really cool concept. And
Yeah.
the risk reward build off could be better. I think another thing too, until you have metal, it shouldn't have any armor. It should be like a one shot, one kill practically until you start grinding up some metal, and then the metal acts as like the mechanical armor for the brute itself.
So the ideal nerf that I can think of for the for the mech, which obviously it's not going to happen. Epic has the mech in the game on on purpose, and they're not nerfing it on purpose. When they do nerf it, they're going to nerf it into the ground, so it's not even usable. But
And
the
then they're gonna
ideal
remove it from
nerf,
the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the ideal nerf that I can think of is you drop the mech's health down to 400. You make it so that what is it? You make it so that the rockets are at least halved by instead of 10, you shoot 5 or 4. And you remove the farming entirely. I feel like that would make the mech actually balanced.
I can stand behind that.
Agree, disagree.
How much HP does the shield have?
200, 400? Hold on, it's in here, right here. Let me look it up.
I think it's 200. I've sniped somebody out of a mech before.
There's a shield.
A nerf where just like they were talking about with ballers, when ballers were a very big problem in competitive scenarios, I guess, where you could shoot people out of them. They never went through with that, obviously, but what if there was just no shield at all, and rather than shooting the mech out, you just shoot the player,
Yeah, so
or
there-
low or very low shield,
right.
like 100
so
or
so you have your 200, you have your 100 health, 100 shield, and then you have an additional overshield mechanic, which is an additional 200 for consuming the resources. But it only lasts 5 seconds. So if you could snipe somebody, you can definitely hit them without the overshield.
Is there a
Or if you
cooldown on
have-
that, or can they spam that
There's a
until they
cooldown.
run out of mats?
There's a cooldown, and you run out of mats really quickly. You can't really stack it either, but you can. I mean, if you time it right, you can just do it as soon as it's up. So it's really a mat thing than an actual timing thing.
Right.
That being said, let's back up here for a second because I want to give some of the casual players, besides just having the brute talk that we all know. We'll come back to the brute talk in the last 15 minutes, guys. But before we get too crazy, do you know that Epic Games is sending out their Season 9 wrap-up? So if you guys haven't gotten your wrap-up video yet, go check out that URL. Check your emails for your Epic account, and you will get. You can either create your own, or you can let Epic create it. Let Epic create it. And pretty much Desi's the only person I ever played with. 174 games. So, did you guys do your Season 9 wrap-up videos yet? Anybody?
Yeah.
I have.
Didn't know what it was.
Did you post it on the Instagrams?
No, because my stats are trash.
All right. Well, there you guys go. There it is. Desi didn't even know. So some people. Jesus, did you do your Season 9 wrap-up video?
I did not know.
Feels bad, man. Come on, guys. Get with the times. All right, let's talk about competitive for a second because I want Vio to actually contribute more than telling us all we suck at the game. So there's a couple things before we get there. First, just some quick gameplay. Well, we'll come back to the gameplay stuff, the mission and the limited time modes. Let's go to the event, the arena game mode updates. So the season kicks off with solos and trios arena, which I'm sure Vio will tell us more about. All the hype gets What's up?
Which website are you on?
I am on the Epic Games patch notes website. I'm on this.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah, I got it.
So the season kicks off with solos and trios. The hype gets reset at the start of season. Makes sense. I thought they were going to reset the hype again when they vaulted the mechs. I thought the mechs were going to get vaulted like way sooner. But I kind of agree with you guys that I think they're going to slow roll it out at least until like, I don't know, fall maybe. I don't even know where they're going with it.
When did they actually come out with the mechs? It was season 10, which started like 2 weeks ago.
August 1st, 2nd, something like that. Yeah, a week ago.
August.
Oh, that wouldn't vault it that fast. That's a lot of effort that went into those mechs. Or gonna at least ride it out for a month or two, or at least put them in an LTM instead of actually having them in the game.
Everyone has a mech and an LTM. Oh my god.
Yeah, right.
No.
Welcome to Titanfall.
Vulcan, yeah,
I
seriously, no
mean,
joke.
Epic, after watching them now for where I've like sort of seriously tried to play Fortnite now for over a year, Epic does not backpedal very quickly because they try to stand their ground and say, no, we're the bosses and this is what the game is. But the only time I've seen that be a really overwhelming effect was with the sword. The sword was in the game for 3 or 4 days, and they took it out because the response was so insane. And I feel like the response is even more of a rejecting nature with these brutes than it was with the sword, or at least equal. And
I would say more for sure.
I really think it's more, and I was actually shocked to see their note on that today of just like, well, we're still studying them, but for now they're going to be in future tournaments. It was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you listening at all to this community at all? I mean, I saw them yoink that mech after 3 or 4 days, or the sword after 3 or 4 days, but to not even have a small nerf this last week, a week after the season started, I expected at least a small nerf, an HP nerf, something.
Not with all the kids going back to school, dude. No.
Absolutely nothing.
They're going to ride this out till mid-season at least. I say we got 5-6 weeks of it.
I think it's going to be exactly like the Plains, because I didn't think it could get worse than the Plains when they first came into the game. I didn't think it could get worse than that. It got worse. I couldn't believe that. I never believed they could get that bad as Plains were. But Plains, we knew they weren't coming out because that whole season, that was a big theme around the season with the frosty flights, and take to the skies was the official motto or whatever of the season. So this season, if I'm being realistic, I want those things gone as fast as possible. But realistically, I understand that they're probably going to be there the whole season. They're just going to get continuously nerfed every single update, just like the Plains did.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It disappoints me, but I think that's the reality.
I agree. I think you nailed it in terms of longevity. It's going to be about the same length of the Plains. I think the Plains are perfectly balanced. I think the sword was nerfed too early. I think we're getting closer to being on the same page, guys. We got to keep these mechs and these brutes as part of the meta.
Fair and balanced from day one. I don't know what these people are talking about.
Can we talk about how crazy that LTM would be? Plains, sword, mechs, Thanos.
So everybody kind of thought it was a joke the day the mechs came out. They were like, what the hell is this? So the only real issue that I see with the mechs, like Vio was saying, it's not really a big deal in competitive. The only real issue that I see with the mechs is the issues that Arena is having right now with matchmaking. I don't know if you guys know, but right now matchmaking in Arena doesn't work. Whenever you queue up for an Arena game, you queue up with literally everybody. I don't know if they've fixed it yet.
They did fix it.
Yeah, we're going to get to the new patch
just recently,
that they just did in just a second. Let's back up and talk about the events real quick. So for those of you who are new before Vio takes over, there are currently 10 divisions, and the point values have been increased, but the progression should be roughly the same. So the divisions go Open 1, 2, 3, and 4, Contender 1, 2, and 3, and then Champion 1, 2, and 3, with the respective point value differences. Now, I'm a low-tier trash scrub snail that I am, living in the Garden of Life. I'm only a Contender 1 player. Vio, have you played any of the competitive this season? What is a normal like amateur pro to pro level top tier player? Where are they kind of sitting right now? Champion 3?
Yeah, you should be up there. Yeah. A lot of them actually hit about 6,000 or so and just stop playing because they don't want to deal with that anymore, and they'll just do customs. But yeah, I would say you should be about champion right now.
So Contender is the first one where you're actually able to what is it called? Not register.
Participate.
But yeah, participate in one of the tournaments, right? Like that's when you can start winning some money as the Contender. And then the champion is what? Like World Cup, top tier, pro. Like what's the difference between Contender and champion?
Nothing, to be completely honest. Just about how much you play. Contender, you can play Wednesday solo cups. You have to have champion to play Thursday solo cups and champion to play Friday trio events, as well as the weekend Fortnite LCS type thing. I forgot what was
Oh, so it's also like a
exact-
qualification for which one you're able to do. Like you can do a
Correct.
contender cup or a champion cup.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, yo, I'm gonna run the bracket on that contender 1 cup. Let's go, boys. Oots, 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 oots. Scoring looks
Good luck
about.
with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck. Scoring is pretty much the same. Bus fare increases depending on the division. So the matchmaking. So let's jump ahead actually, since you guys brought it up. The Season X competitive launch update. So this actually just happened today, technically speaking. But oh no, this is the championship stuff, isn't it? No. Here, I'm sending you guys a link for the Season 10 championship launch updates. If anyone wants to take a look at them, they are posted in the chat.
blog
now.
I came out today?
Yeah, the new blog
Alright,
post.
yep.
So there's basically $10 million in prizing. So Puga only got a third of this. You know what I'm saying? It's mostly going to be trios, so I like that. I think duos was a little weak. You have to have the triangle to make a top tier competitive style. So I really like that they're going with trios this time. They did fix the bug you were just talking about earlier. What were we just talking about? What was the bug fix that they just did?
The matchmaking.
Yeah, the matchmaking one. So it is going to be based off of skill, but your matchmaking time is going to increase slightly. The other thing you have to know is if you guys aren't already registered with two-factor authentication, you have to be two-factor authentication in order to be eligible for the tournaments. So if you guys want that URL as well, that is currently being linked. How many people are interested in competitive this season? Maybe this question should start with Vio, then everybody else can follow up. Vio, how far in competitive should you push right now? Are a lot of people pushing competitive? Is it better to play in scrims? And if so, what are the top tier discords for finding and figuring out scrim matches?
Competitive might sound surprising, but competitive this season is actually, in my opinion, in a very good state. Besides the brutes, with the less mobility, you have to think a lot more about your rotates and whatnot, how you're going to build to them. I think it would be a lot better if we got rid of shockwaves and potentially replace them with something like shadows again. Because what happens with shockwaves is you'll be in your about second to last zone or so, and you'll have 8 people shockwave from the bottom all the way to the top, and it just creates utter chaos. You have no idea what's going on. There's no outplay mechanic to it, other than saving your own shockwaves till the very, very end and hoping that you're the last one to actually go up. In the end, whoever gets high ground will usually win that game. It's just basically pray who gets shockwaves. But with everyone in the competitive community, I would say likes the way that they were going with the less mobility. It prevents people from running away from poor fights that they take if they do take the fights, whatnot. Yeah, it just encourages a lot more smart rotating rather than mindlessly using your 6 things of mobility for one zone.
Completely agree. So if we're... Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was going to ask, could you please explain to me real quick in a nutshell how competitive ranking really works in Fortnite? Because I know how it works for other games and why that's trash. So how did Fortnite do it, and how is it better than other games?
Yeah, Vio,
to
do
be
you wanna take
honest, it's not much better. If you're playing comp online, you play to get your champion league to be able to participate in the tournaments and whatnot, and then you go to private discords and do custom games all day. If you want actual practice, you're not going to be playing arena unless you want to practice fighting.
Okay.
I'll tell you this much though, Coyote, and I slightly disagree with Vio in that sense that typically the way most competitive video game tournaments work are one of twofold. There's like the Halo COD mentality of losers bracket, and then there's MMR based systems. So you're very familiar with that as a chess player. I know you know how those systems work. But for those that don't know, they're basically match-made ranking systems. They're based off the ELO system. Some Russian guy came up with it Africa time ago, forever long ago. And gets easily manipulated in the computer scene because so many people are aware of how matching works, and so they can then manipulate the bracket because players aren't always on. It's not a tournament setting. Sometimes the best players play during certain hours, sometimes they don't, and people can just manipulate that. In fact, if you guys look at the top tier bracket, the number one winner in the world currently isn't a single guy. It's a multiple guy who's breaking terms of service. So there's obviously some sort of issue involved in most matchmaking. What Epic Games did differently was they allowed a currency matchmaking system. So they cost for riding the bus at any top tier competitive game when you're in a ranked game costs you money. You only get a certain number of points per kill. You only get a certain number of points for getting higher in the bracket. So it's like an inverse economic system, basically. Like you're gaining currency all the time by doing successful things. I don't think it's the best way to progress forward. I think it actually rewards very slow and loose play styles. So if you get 10 kills in the first 5 seconds of the game, maybe dropping in tilted or whatever hot drop, you get a ton of points. If you get 0 kills and you're the second to last guy alive, you still get tons of points, like relatively speaking. So it's kind of an issue in the lower brackets in terms of actually seeding out. Like the open bracket and the contender bracket, in my opinion, aren't very well delineated. I think once you get to that champion bracket, that top tier bracket, it's a little different, and I think all those players definitely belong there. And so it's one way they overcome it is by having really high skill or really high currency gaps to get to those positions. So I think that Epic did a really great job in that sense, but they do have to now match players better. And I think it's fine to wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes for a game. I used to RBG, man. I'd wait an hour and a half for a game, so I have no problem getting that right, game. I think it's really worth it, but that's just my opinion. How long would you guys wait for?
I guess I kind of worded that wrong. I would wait 30 minutes plus. I mean, we used to. Back in, is it 1 or 2 seasons ago? There was it was the pop-up cups that lasted, rather than the 3 hours or whatever, it was like a 6-hour pop-up cup or whatever. And we would sit and queue for about 30 minutes or so for people to be match made with everyone at the same amount of points. And the games were good quality. I mean, it definitely worked. It's just, are people willing to sit there for 30 minutes to do nothing? Which another thing Epic was talking about, this is, I think, last season towards the end, about being able to creative during your queue time. And then, which I think a lot of people would be willing for then.
That would be,
Yeah,
because then you guys could 1v1 until the queue popped.
Correct.
That would be sick. I'd be so down.
But more server costs on Epic's perspective, so I highly doubt they're gonna do that. Because currently, aren't they run on the same server, the game map and the spawn in for like just random games, like
Right.
for the while you're in. I'm gonna stop talking. You guys continue.
It's all good, man. Don't even fret, dude. I completely understand. What's up?
With competitive, you were talking about discords for scrims and stuff and places to find scrims.
Yeah.
So the best discord that I've found for scrim content is it's called Pro Settings. I'll link it in your chat.
Okay.
It's got like 10,000, 50,000 people, something like that. But it's a big discord. There's almost always a scrim going on. I think. Hang on. Give me a second. I gotta actually find the.
Yeah, no worries, dude. I completely got you. So we got about 10 minutes left, guys. If everyone wants to start wrapping up with last opinions and where they'd like to see the game headed from here. We've got about 2 months now. September 22nd, I think, is when Season 10 championships happen. So what do you guys hope to see in the next 2 months? Where would you like the game to go if you had it your way?
I don't think it's in that bad of a state. As long as brutes get a slight nerf, or even just I mean, as much as a lot of us would like to say it, get vaulted, right? But unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we would all like to see a slight nerf though, and I think the game would be in a very good state then. Of course, we want to see the season to keep on progressing with their time travel theme or whatever it is, so we get our old POIs back. Free greasy.
Free
And,
greasy.
How do we feel about Tilted Town?
Oh,
build.
right. No build,
Eh.
no
Its
map.
loot is insane because of the closed loophole. Rather than having all your trash loot that you would on the normal map, only having your pumps, ARs, and a ton of shield as well as traps and your launch pads and whatnot.
That's
Having the
true.
closed loophole makes it one of the best loot spots on the game right now.
That's true. You're guaranteed to walk out of there like blued out with good stuff.
Exactly.
Blue pump, blue AR,
Nice.
shields. It's yeah. It's a
Some
just
stuff you
never
can only
leave with
find
mats.
there
Nice.
too, right? Like hunting rifle.
Hunting
Yeah,
rifles,
hunting
double
rifle.
barrels. I
Hmm.
believe that's it for only things that you can find.
Wait,
there.
hunting rifles are there? Okay, time to go drop there.
Right.
That
For what
changes
I
a
want to
bit.
see out of the rest of the season is that I think ultimately, like I said earlier, I don't think it's going to happen. But if the mechs were gone, I think it would be in a very good place. I do think that they vaulted too much mobility. I
Yeah.
think that the quads being back would
Yes.
be a play right there.
Well, they vaulted.
that's-
I'm so behind. Holy crap.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
vaulted
no,
quads.
quads-
Yeah.
I was very
they vaulted
disappointed when they
well.
I'm
vaulted
so
quads.
sad. Why would they do such a thing?
Quads, the vaulting of the quads too. So here's my thing about Epic and about the season in particular is that Epic continues to placate to bad players. Epic does not understand as much money as they put forward in prize money for World Cups and tournaments and all this other stuff. Epic is not willing to fully embrace the fact that their game is not available to casual players anymore. It's not available to the guy that turns on his Xbox twice a month to play Fortnite. You can't do that. You have to play this game more regularly than that to have any sort of like competition, to have a chance to win a game. You can't play this game twice a month. And so Epic you'll see a common theme with items that they add. They're always trying to placate to players that are casuals. And that's where you get mechs. That's where you get C4. That's where you got dynamite. It's where you got quad launchers. All that stuff. They're all in common explosives that were to counter building instead of saying, you know what, maybe you should get good at building instead
Hey,
of
now let's
blowing
not
it up.
get crazy.
I mean,
I don't
I'm
want to
just
get good
saying
at building.
they're not willing to embrace that the skill gap and the thing that makes their game unique over any other battle royale or other competitive games. That Call of Duty does not have building.
I don't know if
PlayerUnknown's
everybody just
Battlegrounds
cut
does
off or
not
my
have
internet
building.
cut off.
Your internet cut off, Aaron. Keep going, Jesus.
None of those games have that mechanic in them. And so Epic does not understand, or they do understand and they don't like it. I think that's probably more like the reality. That is the outplay mechanic. That's the skill gap. It's not how good you are with a gun. It's not how good you are at rotations. It's not how good you are at positioning yourself in the map. It's about the building. That's what separates bad
It's
players
not fast.
from. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really just how fast you can make that decision to place that wall, edit that to outplay your opponent. And
How fast you place that wall, the types of edits that you make in a certain situation, the type of build that you decide to go against somebody in a certain situation because they're giving you a certain look. It's all of that. The building is the skill gap in the game. For other battle royales, whatever else, the skill gap is usually in the shooting, right? It's in your accuracy. Not a battle royale, but you look at Counter-Strike. The skill gap is in your accuracy, right? It's in your ability to place yourself in the right place at the right time, as well as hitting the shot. And they all do.
I agree partially with what you said, but at the same time, I disagree completely.
Go ahead.
Building is, it's an important factor. You got to build in order to succeed, really. But you can win games without building. You can. It's positioning and rotation and general game sense. Because if you can build faster than the fastest builder in the world, but you can't pay attention to where the fuck your opponent is and what your opponent is doing, it doesn't matter how you build. It doesn't matter how fast you build. It doesn't matter how fast you edit. It doesn't matter how fast you build if you can't shoot.
It
there
does
are-
if they don't hit you.
there are 5 factors. I think it's 5. There's 5 factors that matter in Fortnite gameplay. One is building, one is aim, one is editing, one is game sense, and one is rotations. So
I'll agree with that generally.
if you don't master all of those, you will never be pro.
I would like to see a classic version though where turbo building isn't allowed or there's a global cooldown on building. Like if you're really that good, then one build map per second. Let's see how good you really are. I feel like the game overcompensates for shot a ton, which is I think what either Vio or Jesus was getting to. I forget who said it now. But like mobile players, they have an aimbot. Console players, they have an aimbot. It's like, do we really care about aiming in this game? Not very much. I mean, even PC players, they have so much forgiveness on the shots. But I like what you guys are all saying. That being said, we only have a couple minutes left, so let me just ask this last question before we get on out of here. And that's about the missions, the limited time missions, and the gameplay. So as we've seen, they changed the challenge menu. They've got these new things called missions. Missions are a series of thematic objectives that are grant rewards. As you complete these objectives, you'll earn battle stars, XP, and exclusive cosmetic items, etc., etc. Battle pass owners will get access to new weekly missions, yada yada yada. I was not a big fan.
No.
I think their challenge system was good where it was at. I think it had great rewards. This new time-based system almost makes you earn your rewards based on how often you log into the game, how frequently you're playing, and I don't like that. That feels like loot mechanics to me, like loot box mechanics or some other shady version of that sort of game, like user engagement. So I don't know if you guys have
The more
noticed.
you're on the game, the more likely you are to spend money on V-Bucks. That's Epic Games' thinking there.
Yeah.
It also makes it way harder.
If you have to get on to play the challenges, you're going to look at the item shop. Oh, look at that. That's a cool dance. 500 V-Bucks. Oh, that's a nice skin. 1,200 V-Bucks. That's the thinking. You on
what
the
were you
game,
saying, Des?
Time spending money.
This thing is way harder to complete challenges with friends right now, because you have to complete certain challenges to get to the new ones in the missions.
Oh, you have to be on the same step together.
Yeah, so that makes it harder.
Yeah.
I've
find
never
challenges
liked
together.
that. I've always hated it when they had challenges like that, stage challenges or whatever.
Right.
Like, just give us a challenge. Tell us what to do.
Yeah,
And let's do
just
it.
give us the whole list.
Yeah, you got to be like prestiged up to a certain level, which never feels good. And I haven't played any of the new LTMs lately. They haven't looked that great to me. Has anyone played them? Are they any fun?
No.
Right now, I
They
think the
don't look good.
LTM that's in is from the Creative World Cup.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. They've been doing one every day. So on a side note, by the way, I linked the Discord link for the Pro Settings Scrims Discord
yeah.
in the GigaSnell's chat. It's a very large Discord. It has like 50,000 people in it. The way they do scrims is they don't fight until the third circle, and it's usually like 40 to 50 man scrims with mostly NAE. So they do solos and trios, depending on who's actually hosting it. But they have a lot of hosts, and it's constant. So
Trying to find the link.
Yeah, I don't see the link.
I'll drop it again.
You might want to put it in
Yeah,
the
it's right.
Discord.
It needs a
Yeah,
permit.
I'll put it in Discord.
Oh, he
as
needs
well.
a permit. Yeah.
Oh. I
I'll
don't know
link
if I
it.
can make a permanent link.
There you go. Now you're permitted for 60 seconds. All right. The last thing I wanted to mention was that they claim to have fixed improved level of streaming performance for all platforms by optimizing the way assets are preloaded. This reduces cases in which players are landing on buildings with low details, particularly on the Switch and the Xbox One. And yet they added a right ton of hitching and stuttering, and I don't appreciate that. So I really wish they would fix that. They did a small patch update, didn't really fix anything. Kind of just
I'll
lowered it a little bit.
say, as somebody that's streamed this game since season 10 started up, streamed it a couple times.
Uh-huh.
My performance, which was previously never an issue, actually seems to be a little worse at certain points in the game. And it's not just like hitches; like it'll be that my frames are lower than where they have been previously that I'm used to.
They said there was
I've
going to be an update for DirectX 12, though. All the graphics cards were going up in requirements, and they made a mention that Season 10 was going to be doing something like that. So basically, you want to be on the RTX cards if you have the old performance. If you had like a 1060, 1070, or 1080, you're probably still getting good frames. You probably lost 10 to 20 frames, wherever. And then if you're in the 700 to 900 series cards, you probably want to start updating ASAP because you're in the last series now. So that sort of makes sense based on what they were doing. And then one last thing I also wanted to mention too is that there is a new camera mode in the replay function. It's called Battle Map, which shows a path of where the followed player has been during the match. That's really cool. And it also shows the locations of the eliminations the followed player has done during the match as well. So there are some replay updates. That's the entire 10.0 patch notes. They have done a new patch update since then, so go check those out as well. All the links are up in the chat from before. Are there any last-minute comments anybody wants to say about the state of the game, how they feel, opinions, comments, concerns, anything?
That replay mode that you touched on is actually very, very helpful. As much as it smalls, I think, when it comes to VOD reviewing people. And learning their rotations, learning where they're usually going to be finding people to fight and whatnot. It's a very good quality of life change. Makes everything a lot easier.
Awesome.
Nice.
Final note, just Epic, please embrace the skill gap in your game. Understand it and embrace it. Don't fight it. And listen to the community. I think that's what kills games. Not that Fortnite's going to go anywhere anyway, but I think that's what kills games more than any other outlying factor is not listening to the community. So make sure that you keep your ear to the ground and hear what people that really play the game and play it every day have to say about it. It's important.
And to really quickly kind of counter Jesus for a second, money as far as listening to the player base, because the player base that's being vocal about this, is that the player base that actually spends money on the game, or is that the player base that cares about the quality of the game and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, it's absolutely, if a streamer is unhappy about the game and it gets on his stream and trashes it, then yeah, they're gonna lose money off of that. They should absolutely listen.
I gotcha. I thought it was localized to communities instead of which personality.
I'll say one more thing about that too, about the streamers, is that you don't always have to necessarily listen to everything a streamer or a pro says, because that genuinely may not be applicable to the general game. But when you have, every time you tweet out or you have Reddit posts or whatever, when you have an overwhelming response about a particular thing, such as the mech right now, that is negative from everyone from casual players to people at the top of their game, at the top of the level, saying the same thing, you got to listen to that. You just got to listen to your community, whether it's the top level streamers, or just pay attention to what people have to say when they're replying to your tweets about certain items. People will always bring their gripes to those replies, and it'd be very smart of social media people at Epic to be reviewing that and taking it seriously.
Yeah.
I agree. Well said, man. Desi, any final words?
Stay hydrated.
Stay.
Good comms.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anything from you?
No, not really. I mean, it's still a fun game regardless of how broken the mech is.
I agree. All right. Well, on that note, guys, I'm going to give you this video from your World Cup Championship winner, Booga, cranking hard at that World Cup practice. Look at those mouse hands, guys. He's grinding. Big shout out to Clicks for getting us this video. We'll catch you guys next Friday at 9 p.m. for another Fortnite podcast, episode 7. Until then, guys, remember you're very much loved, supported, and appreciated. Go out there and be excellent members of the gaming community that you represent. Peace out, guys. Thanks for joining us, guests.
You got it.